Hey there, Tommy from the Run Testers with another running shoe review. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the Saucony Guide 16. Let's see what I thought. Saucony Guide 16 costs £130 or $140. It weighs in at 275 grams or 9.7 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 8mm. The Saucony Guide 16 is the latest version of the brand's legacy daily stability shoe. Little has changed in the ride of the shoe, with the bulk of the updates taking place across the upper to improve the overall fit and comfort, as well as breathability. The PWRRUN midsole is well balanced, offering a good level of stability while still delivering a nice amount of cushioning and comfort. This foam works alongside a subtle HALLOW-TECH support frame to help guide the foot into a nice, reliable transition. In addition, there's a PWRRRUN Plus sock liner in the shoe that helps to add an extra layer of cushioning. There's also an impressive XT900 rubber outsole to protect the midsole foam and ensure a high level of grip on varied road surfaces and in wet weather. Fit for me in the Guide 16 is definitely true to size. It's a very comfortable shoe. There's a really nice soft plush upper on it, and there's plenty of space around the midfoot and the forefoot. But if you have wide feet, there is also a wider version as well. So yes, stick true to size. So I've done about 70k in this shoe so far, and that has mainly been runs between about 10k and about 20k, and most of those runs have been at a fairly steady pace. So for me, that's about 4 45-minute kilometers to 5-minute kilometers. And what I found about the shoe is that it is a solid workhorse, cushioned, slightly stability shoe. Now, what I mean by that is that there are a lot of stability shoes out there, like the Brooks Kayano 28 and the previous versions, that are full-on stability shoes. You can really feel stability in those shoes. They feel quite clunky, but they do have a lot of support in them. The Guide 16 has always, or the Guide line has always been a more subtle level of stability that veers more towards a general daily shoe, cushioned shoe, but just has a bit of extra stability in it. So it's not really that noticeable. When you're holding it, you can't really feel a lot of stability elements. It's very subtle. And when you're running in it, you don't really notice it either. It runs like a cushioned daily shoe. And over the course of those runs, what I've found is that it is a solid workhorse daily cushioned shoe. There's not a lot... I didn't really get a lot of performance benefits from it. It didn't feel very versatile when I was out running in it. It just felt fine and very comfortable. So for those sorts of runs where you're just going to clock up the miles, it does the job perfectly. I've had no issues with this shoe at all when I'm just ticking off those miles and I want something really comfortable and supportive and cushioned. It does the job for those. But what I did find about this shoe is that it's a bit tricky when it comes to stability shoes, because there's a lot of new ones coming out that are really pushing the boundaries of what stability shoes do. And they're not so much the clunky stability shoes of old. They're becoming a little bit more versatile. They're becoming a little bit better if you're looking for something that just has a little touch of stability, but you want a shoe that can still deliver an experience like more daily cushion shoes that don't have stability in them. A good example of a really great one of those shoes is the Saucony Tempest, which came out last year, and it's a fantastic subtle stability shoe, and it's really quite a versatile shoe as well. You can use it for quite a lot of stuff. The Guide 16 isn't that versatile. I found that if I was going out and I was trying to run a little bit faster in this, I just couldn't do it. It just didn't feel very comfortable for that. Felt a bit sluggish. There isn't really a nice heel to toe transition in this shoe. It just feels solid and just quite comfortable when you're running in it, but it's definitely not one that I enjoyed using if I was trying to run a bit faster. It just felt like it was really quite dull when I tried to run faster in it, and just doesn't have any bounce in it, any real responsiveness or anything like that. That midsole foam, that PWRRRUN midsole foam is it's nicely balanced for a stability shoe, so it's not really thick and rigid. It's a little bit of softness to it, but it's not that soft either. So it sits in the middle, offering a nice bit of support, but it's not particularly exciting midsole foam. It doesn't really do a lot other than just help you tick off those miles. And I definitely didn't find that it didn't work very well for anything that was over a very comfortable daily run. And also as a cushion shoe, if I'm doing easy runs or recovery runs, I didn't feel it was particularly good for that either. It doesn't feel massively comfortable and cushioned for that either. It just sits in the middle of all of those as a balanced option, which gives you a bit of support, bit of stability, a little bit of cushioning, and just really delivers the goods if you just want a workhorse to get you through all those miles. The upper is fantastic in this shoe. I think that's the main update that's been made to the Guy 16. It's really comfortable. It's not too thick, but it does feel quite plush. So there's a nice level of stepping comfort in this shoe. When you're out running in it, it does really hug the feet nicely without being too restrictive or uncomfortable. So if that's your focus, it is a very comfortable shoe, and you're not going to be disappointed in how this shoe feels on your feet for long runs even. It just feels really nice and really holds the foot comfortably in place. I'd also say that the outsole on this is fantastic. It does have this XT900 rubber outsole. It covers quite a lot of the shoe. There's a bit of exposed midsole foam there, but it is a fairly hardy midsole foam, so it doesn't feel like it's going to wear down particularly quickly. But that rubber outsole on it is really good. It's great at gripping. Didn't have any issues at all on wet surfaces, and I've been running quite a lot in the wet recently. Fantastic, felt really good. So as well as that subtle level of support you get around the midfoot of the shoe, you also get a lot of support and grip from that outsole as well. So definitely a good shoe if you want peace of mind that your feet are really firmly gripping the ground and you don't have to worry about any slippage or anything like that. Other than that, there's not really a lot to say about this shoe. It just does the job. There's nothing really stand out about it. When I was running in it, I never thought there was anything that really stood out to me as a really impressive feature of the shoe. But equally, I didn't really find anything that I didn't like about the shoe either, unless I was trying to run a bit faster. So if that's the sort of shoe you're looking for, just a solid, reliable workhorse shoe with a bit of extra stability in it, I think it's probably a good option. Although I think there are other options out there that are probably bit better if you want a stability shoe that can do a little bit more. There's also a PWRRUN Plus sock liner that sits in the shoe. Now I did notice that in this shoe in comparison to the older versions, it does feel a little bit softer as a result of that sock liner, and it does make the ride a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit more cushioned. So that's a nice improvement in the shoe. The upper as well, I did find that it does feel quite breathable as well. It doesn't feel too hot to me. I've been running around, it's been getting a bit hotter recently. No issues at all with the upper in this shoe. I think it's a really nice addition to the shoe actually. I think it makes a nice improvement on the previous versions. So my verdict on the Guy 16 is that it's fine. Not a lot has changed in it from previous guides that I've tested. It's a solid workhorse trainer with a nice bit of stability in if you need a bit of stability. If you want full-on stability and you really need protection and support, it's a little bit subtle, so you might want to go something a little bit harder like the Asics Gel Kano 28 or something like that. But if you're just looking for a nice, supportive, stable shoe, then I think it's a nice option. It's fairly limited in terms of what it can do, so it's not a versatile shoe. You're not going to be able to run faster in this one, train at tempo pace, do any sort of intervals or anything like that in it. But if you're just doing lots of miles where you want to just feel comfortable and you want to know that you've got that support element in it, I think it's a good shoe. I also would say that it's probably not very good if you're looking for a really comfortable easy day shoe or something for long runs where you want the foam to give you a little bit back. But equally, it's not bad either. It just sort of ticks the boxes as a daily cushioned shoe with a little bit of support, but doesn't do anything else really other than that. In the world of stability shoes at the moment, we're seeing quite a lot of new developments over the last year or so. So originally stability shoes tended to exist as quite bulky, clunky shoes that really you knew there were stability shoes when you were running in them. The Guy 16's always been a little bit better than that, in that it's a little bit subtle in comparison to things like the Gel Kano range. But there's a lot of the shoes that have come out over the past year that have started to really push the boundaries and make stability shoes a little bit more accessible and a little bit more versatile for people. The Saucony Tempus, which came out last year, is a superior shoe to this, I think. I think the level of stability that you get in that shoe is similar to this, but it's just a bit more versatile, and you can run a bit faster in it. just feels a little bit more comfortable for me. It's got a nicer rolling motion in it as well. So that's a great example of a stability shoe that has a similar level of stability to the Guide 16, but just has a bit more about it. I don't necessarily need to run in stability shoes, but I really enjoyed running the Tempest. I don't particularly enjoy running in the Guide 16. I don't mind it, I just don't really find it to be a particularly enjoyable, exciting shoe to run in, whereas the Tempest does feel there's a little bit more to it. Another shoe that you might want to look at is a New Balance 860 V12, which also has subtle level of stability in it and is a little bit more versatile. I know Mike's a big fan of that shoe, and he doesn't necessarily need to run in stability shoes either, but he does like that shoe. I quite like it as well, and it just has a bit more about it than the Guide 16 to me. If you are a long-time fan of the Guide range and you really like that workhorse stability, support, and a little like cushioning you get in it, you're not going to be disappointed by this because not a lot has changed. But I just think there are better stability options that are coming out at the moment, which I would probably go for above the Guide 16. That's it from me. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell, all of those sorts of things. And don't forget to check the channel out for all the other videos we've got. And if you go into the caption below, you can also find a link to our podcast, which comes out at the end of each month. And if you like listening to that podcast, then please leave us a rating or a message, those sorts of things. And then other people might be able to find it. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you later.